Hello and welcome to episode 22 of Chicago Business Podcast, where we introduce leading executives in the area and learn how innovation is impacting their businesses. I am your host, Drew Sakula, and today we welcome Anthony Amunategui, a founder of the CDO Group, where he serves as the leader of the construction management firm. Hello, Anthony. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Drew. Nice to have you. Glad to be on your show.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. We were just chatting. It sounds like you have lots of interesting things going on over there. We were just catching up a little bit about your a nice vacation that you had, a working vacation with your family. How long ago was that?
So it was the end of it was in 2019, right? And so it was a trip where we took my entire family around the world. And we have been producing it for the last year, making episodes. We currently have 8 episodes. We should have somewhere around 10 episodes. And it'll be a TV show called Family Style that we're working on. It's kind of a side little venture. The grand adventure of traveling. I just celebrated 4 years sobriety. And nobody wants to be sober unless it's fun, right? I said to myself, I'm not getting sober unless I can have fun doing it. And that was my gift to myself, the grand adventure of, all right, let's go do this and let's see what can happen. And that was the outcome of it, right? Take the money and stuff that we spent and the joy of taking, kind of celebrating that with my family. And it was a great adventure. We did some cool stuff. We got to see the world, and we did a bunch of great charities along the way.
Yeah, hit some of those stops again. That was quite the impressive list.
So we started in Hong Kong, right? In Hong Kong, we there we did 2 charities. One was called Hong Kong Cleanup, which was centered around Hong Kong is about to run out of space. If you go look at Hong Kong, it is a perfect example of what the world's going to look like in 50 years, right? It's this little island that is overpopulated, and garbage is coming out of the top of it, and they're about to run out of space. There we went and cleaned an island. The second charity we did there was called Cardboard Grannies, and we worked with these little old ladies right there. At 65 in Hong Kong, you're required to retire, but if you don't have the family or the resources, it's a little tough. So these little cardboard grannies go around the markets, and they collect cardboard, and they subsidize their living by doing that. And my family went, and we collected cardboard with them, got to meet the grannies, and we had a little competition. We split up in 2 teams, and we went out and see how much cardboard we could do. Then we went from there, we went to Vietnam. And Vietnam was where we got to spend time with we got to see the Vietnam, we were there on the 4th of July, and we got to see the Vietnam War from their point of view, which I would say that if we want to prevent war in the future, seeing the outcome and the cost of war, it was shocking for our kids to see that. And then we worked with a lot of the orphanages there, and we went to these places where we saw what the outcome of what happened with Agent Orange and the side effects of all that. So that was a neat one to do. And then from there we went from Vietnam, we went to Bangkok, and there we worked with another orphanage group, and we worked with a guy called Paper Rangers. So he his name is Mr. P. So every copy machine you've ever had, right? What's right next to the copy machine?
Yes. Stapler and
a pile of paper of the stuff that the misses, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, I got them right here.
right here. Every copy machine in the world has a pile of paper right next to it. So Mr. P is this college student, right? This little you would never think anything about this guy, right? Mr. P he came up with a brilliant idea. So he takes the paper, right? All the missed papers, and he takes there's the side that's writing on, right? He folds them inwards. He takes 20 of these, stacks them in a book, and he makes little binders, and then he copies with manila paper, and he sews on a binding, and he draws on them, and he gives them away. He puts like little nice sayings on them, like have a great day, or just he has kids draw on them. So they take the recycled paper, they make the books, and then they draw on them, and they go give them to poor kids or people who are less fortunate than he is, so he started this whole thing called Paper Ranger. So we were there, and he trained us how to do that, and we brought that back to the States. Now we just got done doing it with the arts before COVID. we got to do it with the Archdiocese here in Chicago, and they had a day of paper ranger. And it was fun. Like he said, here. He goes, I now anoint you as a paper ranger, and he sent us off, and we got to be paper rangers here. So that was Vietnam, and then we went off to India, and in India, my wife and I have been working with this guy who is a neat guy. Here, I'll tell you a story about him. His name is Rupa, and Rupa is a hippie from Italy who ended up in London, right? Kind of wandering the world, and he found Hare Krishna. Now, a little different than our religion here, but we got to spend time with him, and he ended up in a little town called Vrindavan, where he became a devotee to this guy, Krishna guy, and he started a school. And my wife and I have been supporting the school for a while. We got to go see the school. Now, here in the United States, we have girls who have the Me Too generation, right? There is nothing like what they have over there. If you're poor in India, we have no idea what poor is compared to what poor is over there. And he takes these girls who, if they're not married by the age of 10, are oftentimes in a very bad predicament, and oftentimes the families don't look favorable about them because they have to get a dowry, and they're forced into these lives. So we get to go there with them, and he's got a school that he is giving them dignity. He gives them uniforms, and he feeds them, and teaches them computers and karate, and those women are going to change the world. And to be with Rupa and what he's doing there in India was fun for my kids, and they got to spend time with all these girls, and I got to go pick them all up in a bus that's driven by two big giant bulls, big giant bulls. So I got to pick them up in a bull bus, and it was good. So that's fun. Then from there we went on to Africa, and we went down to Cape Town, and to really see what apartheid's done, and Nelson Mandela, and all the life around that. Then we went off to Johannesburg, and we did a safari, and we got to see some more schools there where my family rebuilt a school in one day. The 18 of us rebuilt a school from chalkboards to painting it. It was a long day, and that was quite the adventure. And then we went from there. We went off to London, where we got to go check out Abbey Roads and the Beatles, and along the way we got to see some cool charities that deal with youth and sports activities, where we're taking inner city kids and teaching them, get them active in sports.
So you made your way all the way around the globe and picked out all of these charities. So you picked them all out, and obviously in advance to plan for only having a few days in each spot, huh?
It was a lot, right? So it was a very, very focused. It was exhausting. By the time you got home, you were like used up. That was the final title was Used Up, and it was great to shine light on these charities. It was great to be there. It was great to travel the world with my family and watch them as they learned and got to be part of this grand adventure.
So did you have a camera on you then? Were you recording all of that, or? So
funny enough, we brought a camera crew. So I met a guy. His name is Jim Jerome. He's the editor on TV shows like Black Sail and You, and he's been a producer on multiple TV shows. And I was telling him about this trip around the world. He goes, Anthony, I'm so tired of Hollywood. He goes, every single day it takes 13 trucks to do one episode. He goes, literally, I have a whole truck full of reflectors, and I may use one reflector for the entire day, but I have to rent the entire truck of reflectors because if I don't have them there, and Hollywood is such a built-in brain damage. He goes, I'd like to come film your adventure with your family. I will take 5 people, and we're going to film this, and we're going to do it all on iPhones and handheld cameras, and they did, and they did the whole thing on kind of just a way different production. His whole purpose was to say to Hollywood, you don't need all that stuff. The camera quality today with iPhones and what's available to us is so much greater than ever before. And the quality came out great. It really did. So Jim has been fun. And it was like an experiment for him. And he kind of became part of our family. And so we had 18 family members, right? So my wife and kids and my sister and her family, and we had 18 of us, and then we had 5 camera crew. So a total, we had 23 people that came along with us on the trip.
Wow. Well, let's maybe take a step back and talk about what has enabled you to have such a grand journey there. So again, you are with the CDO Group. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your business?
Sure. So Drew, I've owned CDO Group. Coming up this February will be 24 years. I started my career early on at Blockbuster Video, and then Discovery Zone, and Boston Market, and Einstein Bagels. I was building brands for different people. I was in-house at those companies, and I realized that companies were out there buying cows to get milk. That Discovery Zone or Blockbuster, they needed a whole construction department to build their stores. And back then, you couldn't trust your contractor, right? Their lips would move. They were lying. And today, we work for all of these. We build more McDonald's than most people in the country, and we do brands like CVS, and we build mostly all rollout brands. And we give them the ability to see where their stores are at, give them integrity with construction, hire great general contractors, subcontractors, and manage those schedules for them. So that's the idea behind CDO Group. For 24 years now, or almost 24 years now, it's been quite the learning process. So I've grown. We've got to the point where we grow the company. My wife took over as president last year. We got women-owned certified, which has been an amazing experience. The diversity we've really kind of embraced, bringing in and changing that across all ranks of our company. And through diversity, we've really been able to look at problems with better solutions, right? A more diverse group of people have given us this whole different way to grow, and which has given me some room to do some of these fun things, like be on your show and take the trip around the world and do some other fun stuff.
So you were talking about the work that you had done kind of previously with Boston Market, Blockbuster Video, and some of these companies that didn't have necessarily, or had built up in-house teams, and then you founded the CDO Group to help with that. Is it really serving as an owner's rep that you guys are generally doing, or is it
so we have there's two sides of the company. Mm-hmm. So for the company was really founded on being an owner's rep, right? Doing all of the stuff. CDO stands for Corporate Development Outsourcing, but it also fell under Chief Development Officer, right? So all of the things that fell under the Chief Development Officer's role at a company are the things that we outsource. It really stemmed from the real estate side, the demographic modeling, the knowing where they want to go, site selection, looking for sites, negotiating leases. That was a big part of how we started, was negotiating leases on that side and finding those perfect locations. And then from there, taking it through the design development, right? Getting the place laid out properly, and then taking it through bidding and permitting, and then getting it out and managing the construction part of it. And it was a full life cycle of that. And then we also brought in remodeling and asset disposition. So if they're closing a store, we can do that as well. So that's how it started. And then about 3 years ago, McDonald's asked us to add on to be their master GC, which means that for them, we hold their master GC, and then we hire other GCs for McDonald's through us, and we pay them, because a lot of times these GCs can't get qualified under the insurance requirements for them, but they're still great GCs, right? They're still good guys, but they can't carry the insurance liabilities or the whatever may be the problem with them. So we bring them on and we mentor them through that process, and they'll work for us, and then we'll pay them. McDonald's pays us, and then we'll pay them, right? So they essentially hold the contract with us, and we hold the contract with McDonald's as a master GC, and they asked us to do that, and that started our general contracting side. And today, that turned on to being just a regular GC where we hire and we manage projects, and now we're right around in 2018 we broke the $85 million mark. In 2019 we broke all 50 states. We've had a pretty, COVID slowed things down a little bit last year, a lot of it last year, but it kind of felt like it gave us the ability to expand our client base and build some great. We had all those people that did all McDonald's projects, which slowed down, and now we're able to take on some other brands, which our people have grown in. And now, as it starts to build up again, as we come out of this dark ages of COVID, we'll hopefully see a good, solid growth opportunities with all the brands that we work with.
Yeah, it's been interesting times that we found ourselves in here recently, no doubt about that. In construction, well, I guess there's worse places to have been, but the whole world pretty much stopped there for a while. So it's good to have the vaccine out, and hopefully we'll get that rolled out here, as soon as possible. And 2021 could be the year that we turn the corner, if not make it the knockout that we'd all like it to be.
True, for sure. For sure, COVID slowed us down, but my belief is that, look, there's always something gonna slow us down, right? I could come to work every single day and have something that can be dramatic, right? Political stuff or 9/11 or something's gonna get there. What I keep telling our people all through COVID is, look, be safe, do the safe stuff, but don't give up. Don't get swirled into the world is ending. So a lot of people just crawled up on a ball on the ground, and they're in a fetal position, just going, "Oh, the world." And I'm like, no, keep digging it out, right? And keep pushing through it, just like you would do on any other day, and just be safe about it, right? Just make sure that we're wearing our mask, social distancing. We moved our people to home base, but we worked right through that, and I believe that's a big part of what makes a successful company, is that people get caught up in drama, and instead of that drama, get caught up in, all right, how's this an opportunity, right? If our main clients are slowing down, and they did, restaurant clients slowed down, and McDonald's, they only had their drive-thrus open, and so they slowed down, and we moved over to Chipotle, and we started adding in Chipotlanes, which was fun, right? We got to put the first ever Chipotlanes in, and now we can't put them in fast enough, right? They're realizing what a competitive advantage it is, and with all the drive-through experience we've had, we've been able to put a bunch of those in, and or CVS, where they've taken up opportunities with all the stuff that's going on with COVID, and we've added admitted clinics and health hubs throughout the country for them. So the deal, I believe, is not going into the panic, not getting caught up in the hysteric. Be safe, but also keep doing what we always do, right? Just keep fighting it out every day. And I think that's been a pretty successful for us, and why I believe that we had a decent year last year, even though others didn't.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear that you guys have been able to persevere through it all, and that I like that attitude a lot, because it's not it's not like it's going to come back on with the light switch either, right? It's all kind of although the decline might have been swift, the comeback is gradual, and it's going to look a little different on the other side. So the ability to roll with the punches is definitely a requirement these days. So that's great that you've built it into your culture like that.
And I believe every day. I think that's the secret to running a company, is that you got to roll with the punches every day. That I was just out there talking to a young superintendent who he was in the office bidding on a project, and he's like, "Well, this project's out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm having a problem." I go, "Wait, hold on. You're having a what?" He's having a problem getting subs out because it's out in the middle. Listen, dude, we have no idea what a problem is. You're sitting in a cushion office right now, picking up the phone, calling people. There's no such thing as a problem. You got to look. In that town, there are great subcontractors that would love to work for us. Your job is to go out and find them. Problem is not what we do. It's just a matter of taking the attitude of, where are the right people? And if you stop looking at it like a problem and look at it as an opportunity, we're going to find the right subs there. They're going to build the best project we've ever built in that city. And I think that's the mentality that we got to watch out for. People love to, never before has civilization had so much drugs and alcohol and things to take them out, including fear. Fear is just like it takes people out. It takes us out in some sideways little adventure. People get caught up in, let's be afraid. Well, good, I got it. Be safe, but just like any time, keep trudging through it. And somehow or another, I believe that's what makes us successful in anything that we do is not getting caught up in that storm. I can't tell you how many times people during this whole thing would call me up. Can you see what's happening up? I'm like, I haven't watched news in weeks. Here, you go get off on all the politics, right? You might as well be doing shots of tequila, right? Let's just do shots of tequila instead. You might as well do that if you're going to watch politics. You get all caught up in that drama, or do what you do. Take care of our families. Go to work. Do what we do. Take care of our clients. Make them happy, right? Make sure our projects and our schedules and the people on our job sites get what they need to be successful out there. Let others go panic and get caught up in that while we do the right things by the people that we work for and the people that we work with. And I think that's the winning formula to being in business today or anytime, right?
Yep, I agree. You could spend a lot of time following the news of the day and be quite depressed for it, or you can stay focused and keep moving ahead for your family. So I'm right there with you in terms of wanting to stay focused on the positive. So that's great. The we kind of jumped right over my icebreaker there. I don't know if you have your the beverage selection there, but that's what we went straight into vacation talk in your travel plans. But
so I love this idea. So I'm having an organic pure leaf black tea iced tea. So nice. Jonathan told me all about it. So he's got me this. He brewed up a special brew of iced tea for me, and I got some pure leaf tea in celebration of the show.
Very nice. Well, thank you. I'm joining you as well, although I have the iced tea portion, but this is actually a green tea that my wife had, just a Trader Joe green tea, nothing too fancy, but something we had around here. So I've been drinking more and more of it. So cheers to that, anyway.
Cheers to your show, Drew. It's awesome. I think what you're doing is it's living out your grand adventure, and as we were talking about before this, stepping through the fear, right? And doing this takes, I don't know. I've done a little bit myself here now, and every once in a while you question yourself. That little voice in the back of your head's like, well, am I doing this good? Right?
Yeah. No, we all have that. And again, you just got to keep going, keep rolling with the punches, and keep taking steps ahead. So that's what I try to practice myself. So with that, maybe we could take a step back. You're a Chicago guy. Maybe talk about your roots to Chicago and what kind of how you ended up being the man that you turned into.
So, I started, I was born and raised in Florida.
Okay.
Born under a palm tree down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. A little redneck kid back when the South Florida was the South. Right now, South Florida is the only place you have to go north to go south. Right? It's become the fifth borough down there. But I grew up down in the South, and my family. My father worked for Pratt & Whitney making airplane engines in West Palm Beach. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. It was awesome. Had a great childhood. Grew up around the water and boats and palm trees, and it was great. Florida's a great place. It was a great place to grow up. And I worked my way through school painting houses. I had a little pressure cleaner. I'd go around and I'd clean sidewalks and clean people's. They had cement roofs down in Florida. They have cement tile roofs. I'd go and I'd pressure clean and paint them. And somewhere in there, I started painting. I started a little painting company. My first company was called Image Painting, and Image Painting got into commercial work, and I got into a Banana Republic. And back then, Banana Republics had 30 different colors of white. Right? There was antique white and off-white and all these different whites, and a contractor who, it was my first commercial job. To say the best, I learned my lesson but did not make a nickel. And I would say he took advantage of me a little bit. Here, I took advantage because I got to learn. And from there, they gave me Discovery Zone. While I was doing that Discovery Zone, I met the project manager there. He invited me to Chicago, and from there, they offered me a job, and I went to work for Discovery Zone early on. I was about 22 years old, and from there, I worked with them in Blockbuster Video, and then from there, I went to Boston Market, and back then it was Boston Chicken, and we built stores all around the country, and I loved it. I got to travel for a living. It was wonderful. It was a great experience. My first day at work at Discovery Zone, I walked in, my boss said, here's 30 files, come back when they're built. And my second day at Discovery Zone, I was in Puerto Rico. And my third day, I was in California. And my fourth day, I was in Hawaii. And I traveled for 7 years like that. It was a wonderful experience as a young man. And I didn't care. I traveled every day and loved it. And then went on from there so that got me to Chicago. And it was a little bit of a shocker, the weather, right? A little redneck kid who grew up under a palm tree. My first winter here was it was the coldest winter in 10 years. So it took a little bit out of me, Drew. It was a shocker. But what's amazing about Chicago is the people, and I'd never been around such nice people. Florida is great, but people in Chicago are hardworking, great human beings. We work hard around here, and people are genuinely nice, and they taught me how to grow up and have manners and how to be a man, and they were great examples. There's great human beings here to teach you how to live a good family life, and today I get to, I have 5 kids, and we live here, we live in Oak Park, and have, I think it's just a great way of lifestyle.
Yeah, well, you picked a good neighborhood there. I actually happen to have been raised in Oak Park myself, only about a half mile away from, I think, where you're sitting right now, just at Van Buren and Humphrey. So I know the area well, and it is a unique place. Chicago, I think you get, it's a great city generally, and you have all the amenities, and then there's a nice little nugget there with Oak Park being where it is. So if you can get over the property taxes,
it's tough. That's the tough one. Now let me ask you this: when you were a kid, do you remember Home Juice Company?
Home Juice, no.
So they used to deliver juice, right? It was they went by Supreme Juice. They were called as Home Juice. They delivered chips and juice to houses like the Milkman, kind of like Overweiss does. They were home delivery of juice. And they were based here in Oak Park, right on Harrison Street, and we live in their old factory. So we converted an old factory into a house, and so the family and I live in kind of this old factory, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. So yeah, back to the business then. I'm really interested to hearing more. So one thing we like to get into a little bit here is talking about, revenue sources and kind of how contracts can be set up. So one thing that I've always, I don't know much about construction, just a little bit, but I've always had a thing about general contractors. Normally, isn't it like a cost plus model where there's not necessarily an incentive to keep the costs down, versus with an owner's rep, I think sometimes it can be put together different ways. Can you talk a little bit about the billing setups that you do and how they're different between your general contracting business and the owner's rep business?
Sure. So, I started my career working for Wayne Huizenga. You remember who Wayne Huizenga is?
Yeah.
Wayne started Waste Management, and he started Blockbuster Video and a couple other companies that I worked with. And he used to say, hey pal, I rent things, right? I rent garbage cans. I rent videotapes. It's reoccurring revenue. And that rang true in my life ever since I worked for him, right? Back then, the idea was, the problem with being a general contractor is you bail and then you row, and then you bail, and then you row, and then you row, and then you bail, right? So you're either feast or famine all the time, right? One week you're high on the hog, the next week your family's starving, and that was no way of living. So for me, why I picked the career and the path why we do brands, chains, is because once we get into a chain and we start to do rollout construction, I can forecast the number of projects that are coming down the pipeline, which makes that bail and row more palatable. And then what my whole focus is, how I keep the work is the more and more of them we do, the smarter and smarter we get at it, the more and more efficient we get at it, right? How do we figure out ways to find, is it 300 hours of electrical work or is it 280 hours? Look, if I can take out 40 or 50 hours of electrical work by making it way more efficient for the electrician to show up exactly when he needs to do it, get their work done and get out of there, not only does the project go better, the electrician makes more money, and that's really our secret. Our secret is that we managed the hell out of the schedule. Back in the day when I started in construction, people showed up like cowboys, right? You walked in, if you were a superintendent, you walked on a job site and you had 2 guns and you were in a holster and you were like, "Come on, boys!" and you're just shooting at people all day long. And look, if you were good, you could get away with that. It may be exhausting, but that's how people ran jobs. And we started looking at it going, look, with all the technology we have, we can look at a job site way smarter than ever before. Today, it used to be that everybody had to show up at 6 o'clock in the morning and everybody left at 2 o'clock. And if you didn't, right, if I was an electrician, I wanted to work on this wall today, inevitably there'd be drywall stacked right where I wanted to work. And you spend half the day moving that crap out of the way so you can get your job done, and it became really inefficient. There was stuff in the way, but today I can look at a job site in 3D model. I can look at it and go, all right, this group can work over here, this group can work over here. I can, we have a picture of an orchestra on one of our brochures. And what the superintendents are really geared to do around here our superintendents are geared to make people work in harmony. So, and if you don't want to show up at 6 o'clock in the morning, let's say, today's young, your son is 11, they may not want to come to work and get up at 4 o'clock and go to work, right? Those are the old school guys. They don't want to do that work, right? They may want to show up at 11, but we can look at a job site today way different. And if you want to work from 11 and get your 8 hours at 11 o'clock and work until 7 o'clock at night, great. We used to have what we called trade stacking, where we look at a job site and see how many people we can get on the job site at one time and try to keep them out of each other's way, right? It used to be, how do you keep the flooring guy and the ceiling guy from being on top of each other, right? Today, what we do is we call it shift stacking. How can we get people working different hours of the day, right? Why bring a tile guy in during the busy part of the day? Let the tile crew come in later in the evening. Let those guys show up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon after the job site's settled down a little bit, right? Make sure people know, hey, tonight we're going to be doing tile. You got to get your gang boxes out of the way. So a week ahead of time, starting on Tuesday night, we're going to start doing tile. You got to make sure your gang box is out of the way so people can start moving their stuff and migrating their stuff over to another room. Hey, we're going to start over here so that by Tuesday night at 4 o'clock, the tile guy gets the dining room, right? So that now we work in harmony with each other and we can spread the job site out a lot different than it ever was before, and people can get what they need to get done in a much more efficient way. And that's the secret to using technology, is that we can look at the job site different. We also don't need every bit of drywall on site all at one time. Today we look at the way that we bring stuff onto a job site, so it's not stacked everywhere. It's in everybody's way. My want is, as we make deliveries, it goes right up, right? If we're going to take a kitchen equipment delivery, let's make sure that the kitchen's done. Make sure the floors are in, the FRP's on the wall, the ceilings are up, the lights are burning, all the outlets are trimmed out. Let's move into kitchen equipment like furniture. Let's not bring it into the job site and then find out we got people working on top of it, working around it. So that's the whole key to it, is being more efficient with the way that you communicate to people. And at the end of the day, our subcontractors work less hours, make more money, and give us better pricing. their margins increase, their costs go down, their people are happier, and it's a much better way of living than it was ever before. So I think that's kind of the secret to the model that we use. Now, the difference between GC work and CM work is that, you would think that cost plus means that GCs can write whatever they want and their goal is to increase the cost. Well, not if you want to work for that customer ever again. The problem with today is you're bidding against, especially during COVID, you might have 7 or 8 different bidders on the same project, and your goal, you got to be more efficient at it, right? So you got to make sure that your subcontractors can see that working for you, they're going to be able to get in and get out and paid and make more money on their jobs, or they're not going to give you their best pricing, right? 'Cause in our business, we have what's called the brain damage factor, right? When you work for a general contractor that gives you brain damage, they have to add a little factor in there for carrying the cost, carrying the money, dealing with the people on site, the brain damage that happens on a job site.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you guys are obviously using a lot of software tools then and trying to, and I know that construction in general is like, I'm a project management professional, something I got trained in while I was with Ernst & Young. I know that there's a lot of tools that really started in the construction industry, I think, and then have been leveraged out beyond that. But you talked a little bit more about the software that you guys are using?
Sure. It starts off with the way that we estimate projects, right? It all starts at estimating, and how we rip down. Our estimators have unit pricing, square foot, linear foot. We know more about the project than our subcontractors do, right? So starting at estimating, our software that we use, from Bluebeam to the different software packages that we have, they look at a project and they're able to break it down way more efficient than ever before. So we can look at a project and we're telling a subcontractor this many square feet, that much linear feet, which does a couple things. Number one, we help them bid, because the big problem we have is getting bids back from great subs. Because think about who your greatest subs are. Who are the best subs out there, right? They're guys who are actually working in the field, right? Your best subs, your low-cost providers, aren't usually the big houses, right? Now, some of the bigger projects, we need the forces, so we go to the bigger projects. But for the medium-sized project, $1.5 million or less, right? Those are usually smaller local brands, right? And we're looking for make it easier for them to build and to bid. So the more data we can give them, the faster we can help them turn around their bids and give us great numbers. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. Likewise, when we get a number from them that's out of skew, we can see that where before we had we were guessing about it. So it starts with that data. Now the next part of it is we really look at job sites different than before. Today, every one of our job sites has cameras. Every single, I can sit here in my office and I watch job sites all day long. I know when we're getting deliveries. I know what's happening on a job site. At first people were really freaked out about it, right? Like, oh my God, you're watching us as a big brother. But what happens is they understand that we also are here as a resource for them. Hey, you got a delivery showing up. Hey, you might want to clear a spot to put a 50-foot truck in. Our coordinators that coordinate the deliveries of things like, brick and tile, and they can look at a job site and go, hey, where's that 50-foot truck going to go? Where are we going to take? How are we going to take that delivery? The mason's got a pile of dirt coming in. Where is that going to go? So we can really look at job sites smarter. Likewise, when a sub says, hey, I'm going to be out there with 6 people, I can go back and look at every single day they were on the job site and tell you exactly how many people were on that job site. So if you committed to 6 and you gave us 4, hey, you're out of commitment. Your commitment was 6. We can't operate our schedules if you show up with 50% of your crew missing or 30% of your crew missing. That's not going to work for our commitment on our schedule. So then we have cameras, and then reporting and communications from the way that we look at a schedule. Each one of our subcontractors has adherence to schedules and their commitment. So we do things like safety. Our safety is number one. We have tool talks every single day, right? What are our people working on? What's the protective gear they're wearing? what are the safety procedures we're going to follow anytime anybody's overhead or on ladders or in holes, or what are the practices that we have to add on to make sure that people are safe, so that all of our people go home with their fingers and toes and are safe. And then likewise, what kind of equipment's on site? Who's certified to use that? Do we have proper do we have proper training on that equipment, so that we don't have unauthorized users on a job site running equipment they're not trained on? So safety changed the way construction happened. The old days of running like cowboys and Indians, it doesn't work, right? It's not safe. We want our people to go home with their fingers and toes every day, and safe. We want them to go home, right? So, now we can see that, and we can watch people, make sure people have boots on, make sure they have protective gear on, and so forth. So you can see that live.
I could see that being a great, help to keeping things on track, and if you can get over that initial resistance. But it's really in everybody's best interest. You just potentially might need to pay a little bit of a premium for it, but I guess
not anymore. If you're not doing safety, you're not in construction anymore. Here, 10 years ago, yes, you're right. Today, no construction worker is showing up on a job site. Even the back of the truck, pickup truck guy, they don't show up on a job without a vest, eye protection, a hard hat, boots on.
Yeah, no, I was referring more to the cameras.
In
monitoring that. So, at what point, there's a big cost difference between union and non-union labor. At what point are those decisions normally made, and what are the primary factors that you use in coaching your clients?
You know what? The union, non-union is such a non-issue anymore. Here in Chicago, we have both, and they're both phenomenal, right? Our union contractors it used to be this big cost disparity between union and non-union guys. There isn't. First of all, union guys are way more efficient than they've ever been before, right? They're operating smarter. They're operating. The idea of getting paid to do nothing was a big complaint, that the union guy wasn't as efficient as the non-union guy, but the non-union guy has just as much cost. They have just as much insurance. You're not getting away with this big disparity. Look, for those who are hiring back of the truck kind of contractors, maybe, right? You hire your Uncle Lou to go do a project for you. He doesn't have insurance. He doesn't have. He's not a licensed company. Okay, you're going to get what you pay for. But for those that are national brands or building anything of substance, you're not hiring those type of contractors. Not here in Chicago, you're not around here. I mean, this is Chicago. We really have a low tolerance for the kind of shenanigans that other places do. You might get away with it for a little bit, but not for long around here.
Yeah.
It's a small, it's a really small, big town.
Yeah, well, people talk and word gets out, right?
That's right.
So, what other initiatives are you guys focused on there with CDO Group?
This year we'll have our number one goal right now, and it's written across we have an area we call the pit, where all the coordinators out in this big room we have, and that wall is about 17 feet long, and written across that in 4-foot high letters is "From dirt to dishes in 4 weeks." Now, what does that mean? That means that the future of construction, is requiring us to go way faster than ever before. If this is the life cycle of a building, right? Let's say this is 50 years or 150 years, right? Construction has always been the part that touches my finger, right? This little bit of time, that maybe that 6 or 9 months or maybe a year of time it took to build it. So people put up with a lot of brain damage because they only had to deal with construction for a very limited time. Today, with the Internet of Things and people needing to move faster than ever before, right? People now know where their customers are. They want to be there as fast as possible. They need to be able to get in and oftentimes move as markets move faster than ever before. So speed to service is key. The across, McDonald's is a great brand that we work with. Projects, we did a 6,000 store remodel program with them over the last few years, and projects that used to take 6 and 8 weeks to do, we were doing them somewhere between 11 and 21 days. Right? They can't afford, once they make an initiative, they want to go to the touch of screens, to the ordering kiosk, and as they want to do that, they want to do that much, much quicker. Right, as they change their design, the future of McDonald's, which is amazing to say that, is going to be some amazing stores. Right, as we get through COVID, the new initiatives they're coming up with, the future of what McDonald's is going to look like will be dramatically different. So as they have those initiatives, they want to be able to implement those much, much faster. So in the our big belief is that in construction, if you're going to be in the game and speed to market is not your conversation, you're going to be outclassed here in the future. That the construction companies that are able to go from dirt and build ground up buildings faster, and our goal is to do ground up buildings in under 4 weeks, which is a pretty tall, and a lot of that has to do with the digital design that we do. And one of my biggest beliefs is that the future will involve robots and artificial intelligence. And as those things come, if you look at construction for 24 years of me doing this, our business has been plagued with the exact same problems that we did 24 years ago. 24 years ago, I was building extended stay Americas, right? And we would take the entire room and, the bed, the nightstand, the sinks, the tables, and we'd put them in a little pod and we'd slide them in the front window before we put the outside wall on. And that would save hundreds of trips up and down the stairs after we were built out, and the damage and the time and all that expense. And that was 20 years ago. We're still, if this was Moore's law, like computers, you would think that we'd be able to double in speed since then, and we haven't, right? So we've been plagued with, oftentimes I feel like construction, we are fish in a fish tank. We kind of keep walking around going, oh, look, bubbles. Oh, look, bubbles. And we keep having the same thing plague us over and over again. And that's changing with technology. As project management software comes into play, we're able to look at things way smarter than ever before. And as artificial intelligence come on, it's going to require us to move those stores and open stores much, much faster than ever before. We were just in Europe and saw entire malls of pop-up stores, right, where the mall itself was the design. It had zoos and food courts, and all the stores that were in it all had 3, 6, 9 month leases. The longest lease in the entire mall was a pop-up store. So the idea is that a brand can move into a location. You and I can get the customer experience. What's the biggest problem with you and I shopping online? I don't know about you, but I'm not like some skinny kid, right? So I buy stuff online, and it'll say large or even extra large. I'll get it here. I'm like, I don't know who extra large this is, but I can't get it to fit over my belly, right? All of a sudden, I look like a sausage casing, the little buttons screaming, help, right? All I need to do is once I find a brand that fits me, I'll buy that shirt every single, once I buy a brand that fits me and my wife goes, that looks good on you, I'll buy that same shirt every single day, right? And all I need is my wife to say, I like that shirt on you. And, I'm a brander for life, right? I'll stick to that brand and I'll know that shirt fits me. So that's what brands are doing today. They're looking for, to be able to get to a market. The Internet of Things will know where their customers are at, where you and I are at, and that shirt company will be able to go there. You and I will be able to try those shirts on, and then they'll be able to go back and sell online once we have our brand experience.
Yeah.
We're seeing the same thing in restaurants, right? The old thing happened with Chipotle's. You remember when the first time you went to Chipotle's? What was the first thing that happened? You got there and you met the server, right? And there was like this little interaction you had, right? Burrito, right? You had this little interaction with them.
It was a little intimidating the first time at
Right,
Chipotle.
right. But you walked in, and then you went down the line. What meat do you want? All right, great. Hey, you want this meat? Hey, here, what veggies do you want? Great, great. Or first was what rice, then what meat, and then what vegetables, what toppings. Do you want sour cream, and do you want added avocado for $1 or $2? Great, right? But today, you could order from Uber Eats, and you could give a shit you could care less where that store is. That store might be in the back of a mall. It could be in a warehouse district. The future of brands like Chipotle might be that they'll have third-party delivery companies that serve them through their, an off-site, a B location, a C location, where rent is cheaper, and more cars can come through there, right? And they'll have a couple of key locations where people can get the brand experience for the first timers that have never been to the brand. So they'll focus their energies on building a couple of key locations with all the bells and whistles and let the customer get the experience, but then have the third-party delivery company experience come from a cheaper rent location with easier throughput. And we're seeing that now with ghost kitchens and whatnot across the country.
Yeah. Well, it certainly seems like the change will continue across the, certainly at least the restaurant scene, and maybe moving to commissary kitchens, and there's lots of different angles on it. But I think that construction is here to stay. No doubt about that. It's good to hear about the innovation that you guys are doing there. From a marketing perspective, you're also doing some interesting things. I saw that you guys had a blog out there, and then you're just getting a podcast yourself up and going. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
This has been more about a hobby for me. As I get older, I've been doing this for a long time. I love this business. I love it. And I love when I meet people that love the business, that are into it. And, I see construction. There was this big exodus from construction. Kids even my kids were all like, I'm going to be a blogger. I want to be on the internet. And I believe that, the trades weren't something that people were looking forward to. Well, I still believe that the trades and construction is an amazing career for people. For me and my family, I've had a great life in construction. And when I speak at schools and I go meet the young people, I want them to see that there's a great careers here. And it doesn't matter what part of it you want to be in. I had a young guy on from Marco Murray the other day on my podcast, and he's in charge of information technologies for Arco Murray. He's out there finding the latest and greatest technologies and bringing it to construction, right? So these are IT people that are now impacting it because construction's been so archaic for so long, right? There's so much room for it to grow. There's so many opportunities for no matter what part of the business you want to be in. If it's in construction and the trades, great. There's new stuff that the tradesmen are doing to make the projects happen way faster than ever before. And it's a lot more fun today, and it's a way safer life of living and a more sustainable way of living where guys aren't going home with injuries and back problems and they're having great lifestyle, and they're home and they have adjustable schedules that work for them and their families. They have this great family life to go with it. Or you could be in the office at project management where you can bring in your best minds to look at how do I make this a more interactive project. Or it could be in accounting, or it could be in technology, or it could be in marketing. How do we go out there and find better and better customers? So I do believe my one is with the podcast is to share that there are amazing careers in construction to be had. So if you're interested in my podcast, please come join us. It's the Future of Development podcast, and we just launched last week, and we got our first two up there when you and I are doing this podcast, and I'd love to have your guests come over and check it out with us.
Nice. That's great. It's great step from here. And to find that again, first about your company, CDOGroup.com, and then the name of the podcast again
is the Future of Development podcast.
Okay.
My name is Anthony Amunategui, and hopefully you'll get how the passion I have for the business, and just like you're trying to find guests that have that same passion.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for joining us today. I greatly appreciate it. Good to meet you, and let's stay in touch.
I appreciate it, and cheers.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, best of luck. Take care.